Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. This is your host, David Kim. Hi, Benjamin. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me in this conversation.
Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background and journey to founding the TranSwap?
Okay. My name is Benjamin. I'm the founder, CEO of TranSwap. My journey to TranSwap itself take a long way. I started my career in Ernst & Young more than 20, 30 years ago. After Ernst & Young, I was headhunted to start retail company by a VC fund. We were given $300,000. I remember I incorporated this company on the 25th May 1993. And with this $300,000 Sing, it was subsequently sold off at almost US 300 million.
Well, that's a huge success.
Yeah, about 12 years later, it's a lead VC investment, so we are pioneering staff to help them to start up. So we got some money, but not a lot. We didn't become very rich. Nevertheless, it was a success. And after I left, sold off, I almost instantly started another company which manufacture armoring steel wire. It's a very electric.
Yeah, that sounds interesting item.
Yeah, I started together with a partner who is a medical doctor. Actually, both of us are not engineering, but we went into the engineering field, manufacture armoring steel wire for energy cable, submarine cable. That was around 2003, 2004. And the company within few years did very, very well. We were making a lot of money. We were the first to be in Oman as a Singapore-based company, having established a joint venture in Oman. Until 2007, 2008, the the global financial crisis came.
Yes.
So what happened is that we have many orders on hand. Most of my orders itself are from Middle East, Kuwait, Saudi, and etc. And because of this global financial crisis, customer cancel order, and I'm holding a lot of order, which I already bought the product we use steel to manufacture. So we hedged the product and we took financing loan to hedge the product, and I was burned. I nearly lost my pants. Really, it was very difficult, very tough. I thought I'm going to be a millionaire, and end up I nearly lost my pants.
Yeah.
I got to.
I can imagine you have a lot of muscle in the heart now, right? fully proof now.
Fully proof, yeah. So I was staying in a house with a big swimming pool, and within suddenly itself, I have to leave my big house, big dogs, and landed in a room. I got to rent a room. Fortunately itself, I did not die. I keep going on. I left and left to the corporate world, become a CFO of a multinational company.
Yeah. In fact, I thought the TranSwap, because I look at your profile before, I thought this is your first venture, but you did a lot of venture startup in the past. The serial entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. So somehow it's in my blood. After a few years working for people, I decided to start TranSwap. That was in 2015.
Yeah. So how did you came up with the idea launching a TranSwap?
The idea actually came quite early, in 1997, when I was in one of my early startup. So in 1997, there was the ASEAN financial crisis.
Yes.
if those people older like me can remember.
Yeah, I
young people.
I was in the heart of Asian financial crisis. I worked in the Thailand that time, during that time.
I think you know very well. So
Yeah.
Thailand was the one who's the epic start in Thailand, where
Yes,
the U.S. borrowing mainly through the private sector was too huge, and the regulator have no choice but to float Thai baht.
right.
And when the Thai
So
baht,
actually, I was a beneficiary of Asian financial crisis because I
wow,
received a salary in US dollar.
yeah,
So
yeah.
overnight, my salary
Your-
in terms of Thai baht value, it become
Uh,
double, more than double.
oh, yeah. So there is also a flick of the coin, whether you are in
Yeah,
the head or the tail. So I think
right,
you got
right.
the head, right?
Yes.
So of course, when the Thai baht has been attacked, when it's floated itself and it just split across Asia, right?
Mm.
Malaysia locked down. Dr. Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Mahathir,
Yes,
people say it was a bad decision. On the high side, it was a good one because
yes, I agree. I
it saved
agree.
the country, right, from being
Yeah,
bought out
yeah.
from IMF. Indonesia not so good. So Suharto have to step down. Habibie took over the president of Indonesia. Singapore, a small country but reserve a lot. So we managed to wave off. I think nobody really attacked Singapore. Maybe small country, no point.
Right.
Hong Kong. I think China at the time took a step to say we would defend Hong Kong. And Hong
Mm.
Kong, anyway, Hong Kong currency has been pegged to US currency.
Right.
So it was during the time when I was in this startup, in this retail venture, we have a lot of exposure in US dollar. And I went to the bank to hedge the currency, and obviously nobody is going to hedge. And anyway, the amount is too small. Even payment spot rate also very difficult. So as a result itself, I was thinking, why don't I swap currency with my friend who I need to make payment, and he need to make payment in Singapore. I will pay for him in Singapore. He will pay for me in US dollar in other parts of the country, and that was a deal. It's a private deal, but it actually effectively bypassed the banking payment rails. However, in 1997, the technology is not, internet is not ready, regulatory is not ready. And further down the line, as I was keeping track on this, and in 2011, UK itself opened up. UK has a white paper in around 2008 or 2009, where they're looking of defending UK as the number one FX country in the world, banking. And in this white paper, they all spin out into regulatory, they pass the law, and regulatory become much more innovative and allows fintech to thrive. And at the time, 2011, TransferWise, Currency, Fake, and Docs all spin out. And I was looking at it, and it quickly flew into Asia, Singapore, and Hong Kong. I was at the time in Hong Kong, and Singapore. No, I was at the time in Singapore. Singapore in 2015, MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, spin out a department, the fintech department, in June 2015, and I resigned from my good paying job. And my
Yeah.
boss said, "You're crazy. You
Right.
are flying business class. You're having a good
Yes.
time. Why you want to resign and go to startup, right?"
I can imagine you are addicted to entrepreneurship, right? Addicted.
Yeah.
Enjoy the
So,
pain. Enjoy the pain, right?
the pain. Yeah, it's like wow, it's like crazy. Obviously itself. I left and full time, and that's how I incorporate the company, and that's how TranSwap started in 2015 in Singapore first.
Gotcha. So I understand. I mean, about your business model on the high level,
Mm, mm,
but could you please explain what problem you are solving now and how
mm,
your business model works?
mm. I think for business, or they will always have end up with payment and collections, right? If you
Right.
do business, you need to pay money, you need to collect money. So our vision is to be able to build a global payment and collection infrastructure, uh, facilitating financial institution, enterprises, marketplace, even individual to pay and to collect. Now, to do this itself, we need to be in major financial center and regional center. Uh, when we have this itself, it becomes very relevant for any people who needs to make payment and collections. For example, a small company, even for bigger company, when you want to expand overseas, let's say you want to sell to Europe, UK, or USA itself, uh, if you have a local bank account over there under your name, you can collect local. So it becomes that you can expand to many countries without having an entity or office in the country, and yet able to deliver services and collect money locally. That is the proposition that we are building, a global payment and collection infrastructure, assisting financial institution, enterprise, businesses, and even individual to grow, to expand in their payment and collection. So that was the pain point value proposition we are embarking in, differentiated from my competitor, which is very much on the C to C space, but we are actually tapping into a global infrastructure, which we can actually support even some of my smaller competitor in their expansion globally. I think it's a little bit long to digest. Maybe you
Yeah,
can,
yeah. Then give me the short version of your sales pitch, assuming that I'm potential client, business owner, based on the selling point. How do you explain to the potential client?
Uh, First, as a company itself, when you're doing business, you need to make payment and you need to
Yes.
make collections. So for payment itself, we can help you to make payment in 180 countries, 120 currency. Value proposition always in this short will be cheaper, faster, and more transparent.
How
But
cheaper?
if um, depends on corridor, it can be as cheap as much as five times compared to the banks, to the financial institutions, especially to exotic countries, which is very expensive. Uh,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
going further, if your payment is very regular, like e-commerce company where merchants where you sell voluminous of product, but each product is only $50, $100, then we will encourage you to API into directly our system. In this manner, you don't need to every time log in into the platform to make payment. Which
I
will be
see.
much more seamless and much more automated and much more trackable. And finally, itself, it will be able to seamlessly record into your accounting system. That means this take care of the whole seamless way of payment, recording and tracking and updating online real time. So you will know your cash flow position on a real time basis. Now, we are talking on the payment side. What about your collection? If as a company itself, when you expand, let's say you want to expand to United Kingdom, but in the United Kingdom you want to sell local, just a local UK company selling local. That means in such a manner itself, you're selling things which are low value. If you're selling things which maybe few $100s, but you want to sell local, it is almost very difficult to reach to sell to this and ask your customer to send money back to Hong Kong. It will be not workable. So we will issue you a virtual bank account under your own name. If your company is ABC Limited, the bank account is under your name, ABC Limited, and you can collect local. Your customer can pay you in local currency in pound, and this account is 34 currency accounts, and this account itself is like your bank account where you can collect local. You can choose to keep the money in UK and pay UK expenses, or you can choose to remit back into Hong Kong as you wish. This account operates on 24/7, 365 days. It's all fully automatic. You don't need to call me. All FX itself is automated, and you can do it at in Hong Kong, even though the transaction can take place in UK.
Yeah, hearing from you, your services sounds like including the foreign exchange, foreign currency exchange, multi-currency exchange, plus bank
Yes,
account services, right?
correct. That's right. At the same
Okay,
time, we also have a hedging process. FX, you can hedge your currency up to 12 months for
I
treasury
see.
management.
I see. You have run the multiple startup or work at the manage the multiple startup. I think that the people who work at a large company,
Mm,
multinational,
mm,
and working for a startup, very
mm,
different experience, right? So
that's right.
how, yeah, because I mean, working for large company, global
Mm,
company, no
mm,
matter how smart
mm,
they are, what kind of background they have, they usually work based on the process, right? Also, their job is very narrowly well defined. But working for a startup, maybe you don't have that luxury. So how do you find the smart people? I mean, for your company. Then when you hired someone who have a very different working experience, how do you transform them into your culture of your company?
I think you are absolutely right. From big company to startup, big company stable, well-defined job role, got standard operating procedure.
Yes,
Startup itself have nothing, none of this. So if executive um, uh, high level staff from a big company join us, there will always be cultural differences,
yes,
attitude differences, mindset differences. Not that all people from big company are not suitable, not all of them. However, there is a transitional period
right.
to come into the startup, because startup itself, when you join, there's no system, and there's no proper way, and many of the things we do are disruptive. There is no
Yes,
SOP. So the
yes,
first thing itself, staff itself, we always feel that in order for people to join startup, whether you are intern or high level staff, we hire people who can thrive on ambiguity. That means it is very ambiguity, but you thrive on ambiguity, but you have a innate intelligence for finding new things, finding a way.
yeah,
We call it inner intelligent curiosity to find
okay,
ways. If you can do that itself, then you'll be suitable. The best person may not be the right person, we always say. The right person
agree,
will
yeah,
always be the right person, because the best person itself may be thinking as if he's working in a big company.
yeah. Also,
However,
the someone who work at the large company, maybe they have a very low tolerance for the ambiguity. I can imagine. Yeah, right. They
uh,
follow because they think that this is not well organized company and may have a complaint, right?
Uh, yeah, sometimes deep domain knowledge itself is good, but however, there is sometimes a disadvantage. As you know more things, you feel that it will not be workable.
Yes,
Sometimes you find people who don't know anything about this industry. They will think all the things because they do not know the risk involved.
right.
And when you know the risk involved, you feel that you don't want to do it anymore. However, you are not an expert in this area, but you're very innovative. You use the disruption comes in a manner which now you feel that this is a way to go, but you did not calculate the total risk affected. That's how disruption come about. So many successful digital disrupting company, when you look at them at the beginning, it's like nonsense. Why are you doing this nonsense?
Right,
Now they are $1 billion company now.
right.
Uh, 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 so staff join us itself. You often hear, David, you often hear that many of those successful startup, when they initially employ people from the industry, which they want them to come in to help. Often of them they cannot stay too long because they cannot adapt to the culture of
Ad-
the startup.
yeah, adaptability. That is a good word. Yeah,
Yeah,
popular word today. Good word today.
adaptability. Yes,
Right.
yes. But it's also good to have some people who are deep domain knowledge, so that the young people itself can learn on the domain knowledge of the particular field.
Right. Right. Can you please tell us about your potential market and then describe your target clients?
I think for payment itself, payment is a very big area. In McKinsey reports itself, total payment is I think about 190 trillion per annum. Total we call it total gross GTV, gross transaction value is about 136 trillion per annum. And out of this 139 trillion, and out of this 139 trillions, 133 trillions are B2B and B2C market. So substantially is in this market which we are targeting. So we are very focused on B2B and B2C, which equal to about 133 trillion. Of this 133 trillion, currently 95% belongs to bank. Bank is having a major share. But bank itself is slow. This share itself is slowly going away, but it's still a huge market. So we feel there is still a lot of scope for us in this market. We're seeing a lot of good news lately. A lot of this fintech company has been there since 2011. They are now slowly going to be listed. TransferWise is going to be listed. Flywire, I think, has gone IPO. Many of this is all going to exit in the IPO quite in the next few years, and all turning very positive. And the market itself, we feel the space is still very huge for us to be part of this space. In fact, many of my competitor is actually not competitor. We are collaborator. There's no one of us can say that we can be the majority, because number one, corridor different. You may be very strong in UK corridor. I may be very strong in Southeast Asia corridor. So each of us have own different strength on different corridor, and each of us are targeting on own different target group, and we seldom even cross-sort, but most will become collaborator. So many of my competitor is actually my partner.
Yeah, it's living in the same ecosystem, right? Grow together.
That's right.
Grow together, evolve together, because it's a huge market, right? Huge potential.
Yeah, just like bank, right? Bank itself cannot operate as its own bank, must survive as a corresponding. They have many corresponding bank. Otherwise, the bank would not be able to service the customer if they don't have many partnership with their corresponding bank.
Yes, yeah, banking. Yeah, I work in the banking sector many decades, but people say that banking is one of the few traditional industry to be disrupted soon, right? Because they are not efficient enough to support SMEs, right? Small SMEs.
Yeah, I feel that banks is the world still needs to have a bank. Still need to have banks. Bank have different roles to play. Banks is now increasingly looking to collaborate with fintech company.
Yes.
5 years ago, they was like that.
Yeah.
Bank feel that you're eating my share, my lunch.
Right.
But now banks
Right.
itself, we need to collaborate with fintech. And some banks itself actually are moving towards utility, supporting fintech company. That means the fintech become their marketing arm, their sales, so supporting the fintech. Some banks are actually become more like utility company supporting fintech.
Yes. In Africa, I saw that telco, they actually established a fintech company, payment company, M-Pesa, right?
Actually, telco is a very natural to go into fintech, because everyone use a phone.
Yes, yeah.
So it's quite natural, and telco is very natural to be in the C2C space, because everybody use the phone, and everybody pay phone bill, right? In this case, you no need to top up, because you just pay the phone bill. You want to put into the wallet, you put into the telco wallet, and you can send money there. You can make telephone call. So you don't even need to go to any ATM machine. You actually can link up to ATM machine and draw money. So telco actually is a quite natural to be on the C2C space on the fintech space.
But the TranSwap is focused on the foreign
Business.
exchange, foreign exchange. So
Yeah.
for TranSwap, who is the ideal partner if you, you want to grow the business together as a partnership?
For
Telco,
us,
bank, or what kind of
for
company?
us to be, as we want to grow into a global infrastructure, we need a lot of partners.
Yes.
We have over 80 partnerships with banks, with fintech, partnership with one of our most international supporter is JP Morgan.
I
They are
see.
great supporter. Wherever we go, we use JP Morgan network for swift international payment, local banks. All this itself become our settlement agency, FX partner for buying and selling. Telco itself is a natural one. I remember we spoke to Indonesia, some of the telco company, but we have not landed inside yet because telco is very much on the C2C space. We
Yep.
have not moved into the C2C space yet. So, but telco is a very huge network for C2C space, which we may look into it further down the line. But right now, we're still concentrating on the B2B, where our most important partners are actually banks.
Yeah. That's I came to have another question because you told me that you are focused on the B2B business, right?
Yes.
Not C2C.
No.
What is the rationale behind that? Why you are not engaged in the C2C or
Um,
B2C business?
I think firstly itself on my background, I'm from Ernst and Young, then become a treasury, then become a CFO. So it's quite
Mm.
natural on the business side rather than the
Uh,
C2C side. So many of the startup on the payment on C2C, most of
right,
them are consultant. They are not on the they are not on the
right.
finance and CFO. They are more on the consultancy side. So quite naturally we spin out to the business. Secondly, itself, C2C is acquisition cost, burning rate is very high. So we do not have a lot of deep pocket investor and we
I
do not want
see.
to be on the burning side too small, too stressful. So we decide to go to the B2B, less burning. We do not pay people money to use our platform. As a result, and as a CFO itself, it's quite natural for us to help on the treasury side. What is
Mm.
treasury? How to maximize your money flow all over the world? How to, like logistics, right? Shipping, right? Logistics. How to get your products from point A to point B at the shortest route, at the fastest point. So money is also like this, how to
Mm.
send your money at the cheapest route, fastest route possible. So treasury is like that. Treasury is how to manage your money globally in the best way, less cost, less exposure on the FX. So it become that I become natural for me to start on the B2B.
Yeah, I understood your rationale.
Mm,
You started with the B2B business in the beginning, but
mm,
when you grow, continue to grow the business,
mm,
that's another huge market.
mm,
B2C, right? So do
mm.
you plan to expand into B2C business
Yes.
or the C2C business?
You're absolutely right. Right now, we are into B2C.
Mm,
Lately, we have a lot of big enterprises
mm,
who look out for us to help them on the capability to make payment and collection for their customer.
yeah,
So in this case, this big company itself, normally big company is they got many thousands of customer. So this many thousands of customer also needs to send money and receive money. So
right.
this big corporation wants to also provide this service to their many thousand customer. So we are the one helping this big company to do so, where we share revenue. So this is a B2C.
I see.
Yeah.
does that make sense to work with the telco, local telco, in case you expand into the C2C business in the future?
Yes, it makes sense because we feel telco is a natural way to reach everyone.
Yes, everywhere. Yes,
Yeah, whether it's B2C or C2C, or because everyone itself, whether you are individual business, you do use a handphone. So it's quite natural.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, interesting. So you have a very long entrepreneur journey
Yeah.
and working, I mean, launching many business in the past.
Mm.
What has been the biggest mistake
Uh,
while running a startup so far? And
uh,
then what is a lesson learned from that?
I'm continue to make mistake.
Yes.
Uh, hopefully not a disastrous one.
Right.
In my former company where I was armor steel wire company, my big mistake is
Yeah.
when you have a big contract, don't be happy because the contract itself can be cancelled
Yeah,
and
huge risk, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and of course that I burned. So so one of the mistake that I have in TranSwap is hiring.
Mm.
Hiring. So we have two wrong hire last 2 years. These are senior position, executive position. It was very bad. It actually give me a setback of at least few months. So hiring the right person is important.
Yes,
It's
that's a
significant.
challenging. That is a challenging to
It's
everyone.
not
Yeah.
so easy, you know. That's not so easy because sometimes they come with a certain intention that we don't know. They got certain expectation we don't know. They never tell upfront, and this cause a lot of disruption
Yes.
if it's not well open up to speak about it. And my lesson learned. Uh,
Yes. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, hiring the right person is, I mean, that's a huge challenge for everyone. Uh, for everyone. And I hired a lot of people in the past, but looking at the CV, and then usually people quickly fascinated by the, I mean, very reputable name of the company,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Like if you look at the logo of Nike and
Ah,
IBM, Apple, quickly believe everything, right?
yes, that's
They,
right.
but that's a huge mistake. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's, I mean, inside that they may have a very narrow
Mm,
experience, right? Yeah,
that's right. That's
a
right.
very different skill set working for running a startup. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So one of the major mistake I learned uh,
Yeah.
during my time in TranSwap.
Okay. And my last question is, what do you have on top of your mind for the next step and your vision with for the TranSwap?
We are now at the inflection point of growth. COVID actually has kind of like accelerated this process. At the same time, the attitude has been changed. The market attitude, the person attitude, corporation attitude have changed to be more acceptance and would like to collaborate with fintech. And this happened in the last 6 months to 1 year. And as a result, we got a lot of contracts. So the next things we have to do is also quickly uh, expand our market to grow the people, putting people in place to grow because to grow our business. We currently are in 6 countries. We have 60 staff. We are now pending approval from a UK license. We are going to apply for the European one, and technology wise itself, we are putting 45% of my staff are all technology. We have built an innovation center in Scotland. We are partnering University of Edinburgh in doing payment innovation, particularly on 5G, AI and blockchain. 5G will actually totally change many things. Where 5G comes in, machine talk to machine. Your refrigerator can order things by themselves. You no need to order eggs. The refrigerator can order for themselves because 5G itself will change many things, how people work, how people pay things, and how people manage their things. When 5G comes in, AI become very, very real. Blockchain become very, very real because the bandwidth of 4G itself will be totally removed, and we are on a super, super, super highway. So all this we have to do in the next few months.
And the long-term vision?
Long-term vision is to be a global company with offices of licenses over 50 countries, to be a company where people want to send money and collect money. Look for TranSwap. We will help you globally. No need to open bank account with a bank. Well, we will open bank account for you globally. So if you come to TranSwap, you want bank account in other part of the world, we open for you in minutes, not in weeks. For you to expand your business seamlessly and easily.
So growing.
So it's like we take care of the money logistic for you.
You see, so growing the TranSwap as a global brand for the services.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. Entrepreneur is so focused on the growing business, right, in the beginning. But the investor, they want to look at the long term. How are you going to exit, right? Investor
That's
may ask you that
That's
question.
right. Yeah,
But many cases, entrepreneur never thought about an exit, right? Okay, we need to grow the company first. How can I plan everything for another 10 years, right? So what is your plan? What is your plan when when investor ask you about your exit plan?
We hope to go IPO in 3 years' time.
Okay.
It will be a good IPO. May not be like US 50 billion or whatever billion, but it will be a good IPO where the investor can make multiple times what they have invested in.
Which market are you considering for IPO?
We have not decided on the market yet. 3 years, many things can happen. I think a good market itself the stock exchange itself will be able to bring in liquidity. That's where the good IPO can take place.
Hong Kong has a good liquidity, right?
Very good. Hong Kong liquidity is very good. In fact, many of my companies, my friends, are listing in Hong Kong. Razer is one of Singapore company listed in Hong Kong.
I see.
Yeah. So Hong Kong is a good liquidity market.
Yes.
Hong Kong is always a target, I can tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for taking time to sharing your interesting entrepreneur journey.
Thank you, David, for this conversation and having me to contribute.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with a friend, and drop me a review. Goodbye.